let's discuss some trades ahead of round 3, plus other strategy, captains, and rookies. Starting with players that we need to trade out. The obvious number one player we have to get rid of is Harry Perryman. Yes, he has the bye, so he technically won't lose any value, but you don't want to force yourself to trade someone out next week, because with a couple more injuries, we would be in serious trouble. So Perryman has got to go. Another defender is Sam Taylor, who I know a fair amount of people still have. You probably want to trade him, but if you have serious issues, I think there is potential to hold him over the next couple games while you deal with bigger problems. Someone who realistically needs to go this week is Ollie Hollands. It's a shame because I was very keen on him in the preseason, but an average of 60 and a bad roll cannot be sitting in our midfield with such good options available there. He just hasn't looked up to scratch so far, and he will begin losing money first. So Hollands and Perryman would be my first two to go, but there are a few other players who you may have to look at moving on. If Will Day is your biggest problem, he could be one to go. He has the Bedford tag this week, who he only scored like 40 points against last year. Then he has the bye. Then he has Port. But if you look past that, he has a really good run after these 3 weeks. So you either trade him this week or you hold him pretty much up until his bye. Don't force a trade, but if you have the freedom to do it, then that's something I'd look at. I tried to get ahead last week by making this trade, so I personally don't own him. Riley Sanders is in a very similar situation, where he's not performing well enough, but he's also not our biggest issue. If you've already gotten rid of the first 4 I mentioned, then maybe he could go, but a lack of options in the forward line makes it difficult unless you go down to a rookie or up to a Rankin, which is what I did last week, before he got subbed out. But yeah, Sanders doesn't have a good role and should at least be on the chopping block. A lot of people are talking about trading Bailey Smith out, but even if he's not playing, I will definitely be holding him. It's best 18 format, so we can get away with holding him, and he is a clear top 6 forward, so you'd have to trade him back in again anyway. He's a hold. And then I think the last trade-out target who I want to talk about will be Hugo Garcia, who has been incredibly disappointing so far, scoring a 59 and a sub-affected 27. If you are able to, he's definitely someone who you could trade, but for me it comes down to if he is listed or not. I still believe in his scoring ability and his break-even isn't actually that high. So personally, with bigger problems, I will likely hold Garcia as I think at some point this season he will start making some coin, and I don't want to be wasting trades at this crucial point in the season. There's also Jason Horne-Francis, who is one of the most traded out players in the comp this week. To be honest, I don't really get it. Like, yeah, he has scored badly. But the reality is, if you trade him, you will be trading him back in at some point in this season, and probably soon. I'm comfortable he will come good and be a top 6 forward for at least the rest of the season. But now we'll get stuck into the trade targets who you should be looking to get into your team. As always, make sure to subscribe though. This channel is growing very quickly, and I reckon with your help, I could get to 800 subscribers this round, so please take a few seconds, help me out, and subscribe. Thanks. Now then, I will preface this by saying that the clear number 1 and number 2 trade-in targets are Levi Ashcroft and Xavier Lindsay. If you don't have both of them for whatever reason, you need them both, and this is the last week you can probably get them, so you have to. But assuming you own both, then here is who you should be targeting. Mitch Nevitt and Nathan O'Driscoll are 2 you must at least consider. Like the last 2, it's probably the last week to get them before they escape you, but they are probably 200,000 to 300,000 underpriced and have very low break-evens. If I had to pick one, it would be Mitch Nevitt. This is because of the lower break-even, higher ceiling, and probably better job security. With that said, O'Driscoll has a nice run coming up, and neither are bad picks. As slightly more expensive options, I present Tom Powell and Finn Callahan. This could maybe be a pretty straight swap from a Will Day, and both present good value, I think. They both seem to have taken their games to the next level and have great roles. They can both probably average around the ton, with Powell averaging probably 5 or so more points for the season. Again, if I had to pick one, it would be Callahan purely because of the lower price. For the rookies, you could consider a Jack Henderson who has been good for the Demons, but I think there might be better options who I will discuss later. Moving away from the midfield, there's a couple defenders worth considering. I wouldn't be looking at a Sam De Koning anymore, with the Stewart injury likely meaning he will go back and be a more accountable defender. But someone worth looking at, I think, is Jake Bowie, who I've mentioned a bit and is someone I seriously considered this pre-season. He's had a good role so far and is taking plenty of kickouts to be averaging 90, which is about 25 points more than he's priced at. There is one big flag. Stephen May has been out and should be back this week or next, so that would in theory lower his scoring a bit. There are also some more premium options to consider, and the first one is Nasiah Wanganeen-Malera, who I personally would 100% pick before Jack Sinclair. He has had a hot start to the season, averaging 107, and is a very popular trade-in target with his matchup against Richmond this week, where he will likely go big. After that, however, he has a much tougher run, facing the Giants and Port. Someone else to consider is Dane Zorko. I know he's crazy expensive and I wish I started him because he is just so good for fantasy, and it kills me to watch him and not have him in my team. His next 3 games are dark green matchups, with the 3 after being neutral, green and dark green again. His run is incredible, and I think he can put up an average over 120 in them, with hopefully one of his huge ceiling scores. I also know a lot of people are interested in a Kane Farrell, and you probably can go there, but don't expect an average of 100 out of him. That 114 was a ceiling score and not something he'll be getting every week. I haven't enjoyed owning Port defenders this season, so go for it, but it's not something I'm considering at all. If you are looking at rookies in the backline, Connor O'Sullivan did well last week and has a low break-even. However, I would be a lot more interested in a Riley Bice who looked really good for the Swans. He only scored 60, although it was a 96 in Supercoach, but I think he has shown that he deserves a spot in the team and can score well. So personally, I'll hold off O'Sullivan and try to get Bice in next week after his bye. Finally, some forwards now, and there aren't many. If you want to go for a premium option, I think it has to be Isaac Rankin. The 70 has stunted his cash gen, but he has shown in 2 games now that he has a good role and is capable of going the ton. He shouldn't get subbed again, hopefully. Then, if you aren't going him, it's one of the rookies in Max Hall or Ted Clohessy. Maybe an Ethan Reid, but I want to see another game out of him. Clohessy has the lowest break-even in the game after he scored 91 in 60% time on ground coming on as the sub. The main question is around his job security, and I don't think it will be great. We then have Max Hall, who is a bit more expensive now, but he's had 2 pretty good scores, and his break-even is currently sitting at -8. It's the last week you can get him if he's someone you want, but to be honest, I'm a bit worried about his job security too. Now though, let's go over the trades that I'm doing. It's Harry Perryman and Ollie Hollands who both have to go. With the $176,000 that I banked last week, this gives me $1.5 million to do whatever I want. I need to trade a defender in, but the other pick can be from any line. I could go with Jake Bowie at under $700K, but then I'd have no clear options to go to, as I'd just miss out on a Finn Callahan. The same is true if I picked Wanganeen-Malera. I'd be about $10,000 off Nathan O'Driscoll and would be forced to go down to a rookie. I will be going down to a rookie though. It's just that I will be going all the way to the top in the defensive line and picking Dane Zorko. Now this is not something I recommend. Our trades this week are all about correcting mistakes and building value. However, one mistake I made was not picking enough captain options. And I think over the next 6 weeks, Zorko will put up some monster scores. Yes, I'm points chasing, which isn't very good usually, but I think the risk is worth it. The rookie pick I'm currently going with is Ted Clohessy, as long as he's named. So those are the trades, and I'm pretty happy with getting Perryman to Zorko. Now let's discuss captain options. Tonight, Connor Rozee has to be considered against the Bombers, where 3 Crows went over 130 last week, and Rozee is coming off that 145. Then there is Jack Macrae, who is playing the Tigers and coming off 153. You've got to imagine he goes pretty big again. And I have him over Rosie for the VC, I reckon. Jordan Dawson will probably put up a big score against the Roos at home, and I can't see him getting tagged or anything. That will be a tough watch for me once again. And finally, you could go Andrew Brayshaw against the Eagles because he could be good, but it's hard captaining someone when they haven't cracked a ton all season. For the rookies, we can loop with Roberts in the backline, so chuck the emergency on Zach Reed tonight and otherwise field trainer. In the mids, Lindsay and Ashcroft both need to be on field, and it might be worth it to put the emergency on Camporelli on Friday night. The forwards depend on if Bailey Smith plays, because if he doesn't, we can loop with him. And the same is true for Garcia. I have Davidson on field, and Cloesy can cover anyone who isn't named. Good luck.